Hello, everyone. Welcome back, and thank you for joining us on the Live Unreal with Glover U podcast, where every week, Jeff Glover and his coaches will dive deep into the questions that you're asking. They understand the challenges you're facing on a day-to-day basis and still work every day on the front lines of real estate, with Jeff and his team closing over 1,000 homes per year. In today's episode, we're taking a break from the Real Talk series. Jeff Glover will discuss with you the fourth quarter business plan. We will learn from Jeff why you should create your fourth quarter business plan today. Now let's hear from Jeff Glover.
All right, thank you for joining me. Jeff Glover here from Glover U, coming at you today from Detroit, Michigan, the Glover U studio. Thank you for joining me. We are jumping into the fourth quarter business plan. I've got a few things to share and then we'll get right into the plan. So first things first, we have sent you the plan via email. So everybody should have access to the plan. It should look like this: fourth quarter business plan, running out of time. I like that little image there. The clock is erasing on us. So you should have that. Now, it will be helpful, not necessarily right this moment, but it'll be helpful when you go back to complete the plan in its detail, because I'm going to walk you through everything from start to finish. It will be very helpful if you have your 2020 plan, which we started the beginning of the year with. So hopefully you have that, and also your post-COVID business plan, which we also did with you. So you don't need these right now, but when you go to complete your fourth quarter plan, I recommend you dig these up, because there's a lot of things in here that'll help you complete the plan. And so you're not duplicating work and having to give some more thought to things that don't require a whole lot of thought. So fourth quarter business plan, who is this for, right? Obviously you're here, so hopefully you're thinking, well, this should be for me. Well, today's topic is actually for everyone, right? We have solo agents, we have buyer's agents, we have listing agents, we have lead agents, we have brokers, we have owners, we have team leaders, we have people from all over the country on today. And my hope is if you fall in the first category of agent, no matter what type of agent you are, listing agent, buyer's agent, solo agent, an agent on a team, an agent on your own, my hope is you're going to take what I share today and apply it in your business for the fourth quarter. Now, if you're a leader, we've got a lot of leaders that follow us. Of course, we did that program, that free program we did during COVID called Relead. If you're a broker, owner, team leader, manager, sales manager, a recruiter, whatever you are in the industry, this is something that you can take and you can go through the plan, make sure you learn it, understand it, and teach this to your office, teach this to your market center, teach this to any of the agents on your team, hold a special session. Now, of course, if you want me to do the heavy lifting, you want me to do the legwork, you've got this video, right? We're going to put this on YouTube eventually. It'll be out there, so you'll be able to use this at your disposal. But today, let's jump into the fourth quarter business plan. Now, you might be thinking, well, wait a minute, Jeff. Why are we talking about the fourth quarter business plan early September? I mean, the fourth quarter isn't until October. What are we doing? Now, you might have seen, in our emails or in our Facebook posts, I kind of joked around about, hey, think the fourth quarter starts in October, think again, it really starts now. And for those of you that have been doing this for a while, or leading real estate offices, or managing real estate budgets and paying attention to listings and sales and so forth, you know that the fourth quarter in the real estate industry is actually September, October, November. Because, and I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, the activities, the actions, the things that take place in December are going to show up in 2021, which is exactly why we ask and expect agents to have their business plan for the next year done by the end of November. Quite honestly, I know a lot of teams that like to have that done by the middle or the beginning of November, because come December 1, you're actually operating in 2021. You follow me? So really, you don't have 4 months to hit your goal. You have 3 months left. And I know this year was a little funky. I know we had a lot of things going on. Again, you probably put together a post-COVID business plan, and you're probably thinking, Jeff, how many plans are you going to give us? Like every day you're coming up with a new plan. Well, first of all, for those of you that don't know me, I'm on the ground with you every single day. So I'm going to continue to come up with things as I see it, as I face them, right? For those that have never met me before, or maybe this is your first time on a webinar with us, I've been in this business 18 years. I'm still on the ground selling between 75 and 100 homes per year personally. I've got over 60 closed year to date. I'll probably end up around 80. And our team sells close to 1,000 transactions a year here in the great state of Michigan. So I'm on the ground. I'm with you. I've got a listing appointment later this afternoon. I'll go out and present. I'll use the Glover U listing presentation. Anyways, the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because I know we have a lot of first timers on. And so if you haven't checked any of our stuff out by now, for those of you that have been following us for a while, I know you know this like the back of your hand. But if you haven't been following any of our stuff for a while, one of the best places you can go is the Glover U Inner Circle. It's a free Facebook group. Anytime we've got a new idea, a new strategy, you're looking for role play partners, you're looking for accountability, we drop it into the Glover U Inner Circle Facebook group. So after this session, just search Glover U Inner Circle. You'll be able to find it. It's free to join. We also have a quarterly magazine that comes out. You put your information in there, we'll make sure you get it. It's 40, 50 pages of real relevant content. Why? Because we're on the ground with you every single day. In fact, one of the only, if not the only, coaching company where the head coach is on the ground still selling homes day in, day out with his people. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in. Fourth quarter business plan. And I know we're going to throw that up on the screen. So again, grab this one. You probably have this one. You're going to need this later, and that's okay. But for right now, go ahead and grab this one. Fourth quarter business plan. Let's go ahead and open that up to the first page, and we'll have that on the screen for you to see as well. So I'm going to walk you through the fourth quarter business plan. You'll see right at the top, it says September through November. And then of course, part one, which is so far this year. Now, my goal when I put this plan together was to keep it as short and sweet and simple as possible. All right. At the beginning of the year, you probably put a 10, 12, 13, 15 business plan together, right? Our 2020 business plan is probably like 15, 12, 13, I don't know, 18 pages, right? And then of course we did the post-COVID plan. The fourth quarter business plan is one of the most simple business plans I've actually ever wrote. And the reason for that is because studies have shown that when there's less for you to fill out, when there's less for you to think about, when there's less for you, when it doesn't seem as overwhelming, there's a greater chance you're not only going to do the plan, but you're going to take action on it. So let's start with the part one. So far this year, I'm actually only interested in 5 categories so far. In the main plan, we have things like what is your listing to sales ratio, offers made to sales accepted ratio. We get into all those ratios to figure out how many deals you need to do in order to hit your income goals. For now, I only care about these 5 areas. I want to know so far this year, how many listings you've taken, how many listings you've sold, how many buyer sales you've had. Pretty simple stuff. Total all that up, and then I want to know, what is your sales volume? When you total those up, what is the amount of sales volume that you've closed so far this year? And then, of course, I want to know total income paid year to date. I want to know if you total up all your checks, if you total up all of your income, if you're doing a P&L, right, your profit and loss statement. I want to know your net income year to date. All right, if you're not doing a profit and loss yet and you just calculate it based on your checks, total up your checks. I want to know where that number stands. In that activity alone, going through part one, right? Now that's going to force you, by the way, I don't know if you keep this in a spreadsheet, if you keep this in your CRM, or if you have a program or your company keeps track of it for you. This is going to force you to go back and look up these numbers. And for some of us, we're going to have a huge awakening. We're going to have a huge kind of, oh shoot moment. Like I didn't realize how far behind I was. I've only taken 7 listings this year. My goal was 17. How am I going to make up the other 10? Well, hopefully by the time we get through this session, you'll have some ideas on how to do that. But this really should be, for some of us, unfortunately, a rude awakening. For some of us, because you've had a great year. I know many of our clients who are on this right now, by the way, we've got over 500 clients from around the United States, coaching clients, whether they're in one of our programs or not. A lot of them are having breakout years, banner years, their best year ever. So for some of you, I'm actually going to encourage that you increase your goal. We'll talk about that in a second. Part 2, the goal for the rest of the year. We'll start with listings taken. I want to know what you want to take in terms of listing contracts signed September, October, November, right? Because that really is the rest of the year. Well, Jeff, why is that the rest of the year? Well, because if you take a listing on December the 5th, is it going to close in 2020? No. Number one, it might not even sell in 2020, but it's definitely not going to close in 2020. So everything we're focused on is September, October, November. I don't even care what happens in December, and we'll get to that in a moment. I want to know listings sold written, meaning a written sale. What is that? Your listing goes pending, hasn't closed yet. You accept an offer on it. That's a written sale, right? You write it up on the sold board or wherever you write it up. That's a sales written. There's sales written and there's sales closed. I want to know buyer sales written. How many more buyer sales do you want to have between now and the end of November, right? September, October, November. Of course, I want to know when you figure out those 3, you can estimate actually at that point how your year is going to end up, right? If I know that if I sell 5 listings and I have 10, or if I have 5 buyer sales, September to November, 5 listings sold, 5 buyer sales, that's a total of 10 sales. Let's just say 1 or 2 fall apart, which is normal. You have about a 10% fallout. one or two fall apart, times my average sales price, I can figure out approximately what my sales volume is going to be. And then I can take what I already have done, which is up there in part one, add it to what I think I'm going to do, and boom, now I have a new goal for where I'm going to end up. So do you see the difference there? The first three are just September to November. The last three there, except for database, which we'll talk about second, is where you'll end up at the end of the year. So you have to figure out what you've done so far based on what you're going to write in September, October, November. Okay, because if you write it in November, chances are it's going to sell and close in December. So therefore, I can calculate that and figure out what my end of the year goal will be. And then, of course, at the bottom of number 2, the exchange database. For those of you that are at our event in January back in Orlando, hard to believe that January was this year and we had an event with over 500 people. For those of you that were at our event, we spent a lot of time talking about the exchange database. These are people that you've had good exchanges with. One of the focuses of the agents and clients and leaders that work with us in 2020 was all about building a massive database. We spent 3 days on it in Orlando, and I talked about the different definition of databases. One of those databases being called the exchange database, people whom you've had great exchanges with. Maybe you went on the appointment, you didn't get a contract signed because they're not ready right now. Maybe they referred you to somebody and you couldn't help the person out because they're not ready to do something right now. Maybe you met them at a grocery store and you exchanged a great conversation about the market and they ended up giving you their information. Those are people that should be added to the exchange database. I want to know between now and the end of the year, how many people are you going to add to that group? Because we're going to do something with that in a second. All right, turn the page to part 3. Part 3, fourth quarter plan of action. You have 10 spots. Now, I'm not necessarily saying you have to use all 10, but you have 10 spots where you can either, number 1, rewrite some things that you're doing and that are working and that you're taking action on. All right. So again, you reference your old plans. You're going to look at your old plan, and then I'll just take the 2020 plan for a second here. In this plan, all right, I have an activity called action items to implement to generate new business. Action items to implement to generate new business. Chances are you've taken action on many of these things, but not all of them. There's a list of 10. Maybe you've gotten 9 written down and maybe you've taken action on 4. What I want you to do is I want you to write down the items that you have taken action on in 2020 that are working, that you've had success with. Anything that you plan on continuing doing between now and the rest of the year, I want you to write that down in this particular section, part 3. I also want you to rack your brain and maybe use some advice from this particular session. I also want you to rack your brain, get a copy of the Glover Gazette, which you can do by going to gloveru.com/Gazette. Get your hands on something where we're talking about things you can do to generate business. Again, that's gloveru.com/Gazette. It's a magazine we produce quarterly. Get your hands on whatever it is you can when you think, you know what, I've watched this webinar, or I've went to this session, or I've done a lot of research on this. I just had a call with one of our great clients yesterday out in Walnut Creek, California. She's planning on adding radio to her business, right? She's been doing postcards and farming and is getting good results, but she wants to add another dimension. So we talked all about what it looks like to add radio advertising to your business. That would be something that she would write in this section, for instance. Part 4, the new morning schedule. All right. You want to talk about a part of the day that has shifted more than probably anything else this year. It is the morning routine. I realize with COVID and everything going on, it seems like almost every other month, our morning routine has changed. We've got a lot of agents, a lot of clients that are moms, single moms, moms with blended families, a lot of teachers now and homeschoolers, and figuring out what to do with school. All right. So when you think about September to November, obviously, with the exception of Labor Day, once school starts, and I realize in some cities and some states it already has, you probably have a new routine. You probably have a new morning schedule. We were talking with some of our top agents about what their new routines are going to look like now with the current homeschooling, teacher, virtual learning, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, in person, all those scenarios that I'm sure you're familiar with. Well, I want to know what your new morning routine is going to be given the current situation you're in. Now, if you don't have kids, your morning routine probably didn't change at all. But if you do, my guess is it did, right? In the post-COVID business plan, I asked you, this was the May plan that we did in the month of May. I wanted to know what your June, July, August schedule would be, right? Because of course, summer is different than this time of year. Well, now you're going to throw that plan out the window. Now you're going to throw that schedule out the window, and we're going to focus on your new morning routine for September, October, November only. All right. You're getting a break in December, and we'll share that in a second. So essentially, I want to know what you do from the time you get up until lunchtime, because without question, that is the most important time of the day. Master the morning and the day falls into place. If you only focus on one part of the schedule, the rest of your day, the rest of your business will fall into place. I tell people all the time, and they hate hearing it because it sounds boring, it sounds mundane, but it leads to mastery. When you do the same thing at the same time, brush your teeth at the same time, you're in the shower at the same time, you're arriving at the office at the same time, or you're sitting in your home office at the same time, you're looking up expired opportunities at the same time, you're getting a Facebook post ready at the same time. When you do the same thing at the same time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that leads to consistent activities, which then lead to consistent income. Now, I realize, given the school situation, maybe your Monday, Wednesday, Friday would look the same, and your Tuesday, Thursday would look the same. So what I would recommend you do there, if you're one of those, just draw a line down the center, right? You got plenty of room there. You just draw a line right down the center, and maybe you have Monday, Wednesday, Friday on the left, Tuesday, Thursday on the right. Or maybe it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday on the left, Thursday, Friday on the right. I want to know what you do from the time you get up until lunchtime. That will tell me, by the way, with any agent that coaches with us, they can tell me what their goal is and what they did last year. And when I ask them, send me a copy of your morning schedule, I can tell you whether they're going to hit their goal or what needs to change in their goal. It's that simple. Just looking at the morning routine, big difference maker. All right, turn the page to part 5. So let's talk about a September listing strategy. Why am I talking about a September listing strategy? Because most agents, most consumers put listing their home on the back burner in the month of September. It's natural. In fact, it usually starts the second to last week of August. For those of you that do a lot of lead generation, talking to a lot of potential sellers, they say, we're going to wait till we get back into school. We're going to wait till we figure out what the schools are doing. Now, even more, it's been exacerbated because of everyone's school situation is different and nobody knows what was going on until now. Of course, most of you probably know what you're doing. So we heard more and more, we got to figure out our school situation. We got to figure out our school situation. We got to figure out our school situation before we even consider doing X. And so guess what happens? That's an objection that a real estate agent hears. I totally understand. Maybe you're in the same boat. Hey, I'm in your same boat. I understand it. I'm with you on that. I'll give you a call back mid-September. So what I'm encouraging you to do as part of your plan is to look at where you could find listings in September while your competition is sleeping, where you could find listings in September while your competition is focusing on buyers, or where you could find listings in September while your competition is still focused on getting into their new back to school routine. Because you better believe there's 2 things I love about the first part of September. Number 1, I know for a fact less agents are looking for listings because themselves are trying to get back into the new routine, right? Even prior to COVID, just a normal school year, the first couple of weeks of September, it's about figuring out when the kids get picked up, who's got to be home, when dinner's going to be on the table, when soccer practice starts. It takes a good 2-3 weeks to form that new habit. So guess what? During those 2 to 3 weeks, nobody wants to talk about listing their home for sale. Nobody wants to think about listing their home for sale. I've always been the agent that said, you know what, during those 2-3 weeks, I'm going to go find those listings because I know there's less competition for them. So I want you to write down what your September listing strategy will be. Maybe it's calling all the homes that came off the market in the month of August. By the way, there's a little nugget in there. One of the best. So I know a lot of people love expires. A lot of people hate expires. I'll just pick on expires for a second. The month of September is one of the best months that you can go back to the expireds that took place from August 15th on. So August 15th through today, or August, if it's later in the month, August 15th to September 15th. The month of September is one of the best times to go back to the late August expireds. Why is that? Well, because as those homes were coming off the market, they were having conversations with their agents about, we got to figure out back to school, sorry, it didn't sell. We wanted to have it sold this summer, but now it didn't sell. Our kids are starting school again. There's no urgency. There's no need, Well, trust me when I tell you, when they get back into school, they get back into routine, that why, that desire, that reason for selling didn't go away. The reason for moving didn't change, right? If they had sold their home on August, if a buyer showed up with a suitcase full of cash, paying full asking price on September the 15th, I guarantee you they would have accepted it. So you're telling me on September the 5th, They wouldn't take that offer. They're going to tell you that they wouldn't take that offer because they're so busy with back to school. They're so busy with their new routine. But by September 15th, they're kind of getting back in the groove of things. They're kind of getting back in the routine. So there's a lot of opportunities in the August expireds, just as a for instance. So I wrote down September listing strategy. Maybe you're working August expireds. You can text them if you have their cell phone. You can email them. You can go knock on their door. You can send them a direct mail, right? Perhaps you could create a Facebook group. You could host a client event. You could do some sort of farming or some sort of direct mail. There's different things you can do, but I want in the month of September, I want you to focus on sellers while everyone else is focused on buyers, or even worse, nothing at all. Part 6, I want to know what you're going to add to your database. What value are you going to add to that group? Are you going to get a newsletter out with an update of what's going on in the market? Are you going to address, back to school and how that's affecting the real estate market? Are you going to talk about what the real estate market looked like in the summer? Are you going to talk about how COVID affected home values? What are you going to do to add value to your database in the fourth quarter, September, October, November? Maybe you're going to do a client event. Maybe you're going to do a virtual happy hour, right? Maybe you're going to do a client event at a cider mill, or an apple orchard because it's an outdoor event and some states will allow that. Maybe you're going to do a survey of your top 50 clients. You're going to ask them, what's your favorite drink? And you give them an option of 6 drinks and someone chooses the margarita. On Wednesday, they get a box and a little card, and it's got like a little, Jose Cuervo or Patron if you're feeling fancy, and a little margarita lime juice or whatever to go along with it. And in that card, it says, join me and my top 50 clients for a drink on me this Friday at 5, happy hour. Here's the Zoom link, Now you're sending something of value to your clients. You're getting them to interact with you. Again, that's just one idea. There's dozens and dozens that I've heard. If you're in the Glover U inner circle, people are talking about ideas like that all of the time. Part 7, the fourth quarter CRM follow-up strategy. What are you going to do to add value to the leads in your CRM? When is the last time you changed up your texting campaign? When is the last time you changed your drip campaign? Are you still using a drip campaign that came with your CRM? Have you not modified that yet? Have you not adjusted that for COVID? Now would be an opportune time to look at what is being sent out from your CRM to buyers, to sellers. All right. I want to know what your follow-up strategy is in the fourth quarter. Maybe you're going to send out a mass text or a mass email or a drip campaign that has to do with interest rates, right? I want to know something that you're going to do in your CRM. We've got people from all companies, all brokerages. So your favorite CRM, just utilize it to its fullest extent in the fourth quarter. What are you going to do to add value to that group? Categorize by who needs to move, by the way, by the end of the year. Find your most active people. I want to know what your follow-up strategy and what your fourth quarter CRM strategy is going to look like. Part 8, fourth quarter marketing, social media strategy. All right. I want to know the strategy that you're going to deploy in the fourth quarter. Remember, September, October, November. Maybe in the month of September, you're focused on back to school marketing. Maybe you're talking about how back to school means back to sellers, right? We do a contest every year with our company. We call it Back to Sellers. It just started on September the 1st. I want to know what your strategy is going to be in terms of marketing in the fourth quarter. Maybe you made the decision because you did a webinar with me a few months ago that, Jeff, I'm going to take your advice. We have a lot of people having success with this, and they're sharing the success stories of their buyer wins. It's interesting. I'm starting to see them pop up all over Facebook. So I appreciate you guys taking my advice on that. When you're able to get offers accepted and you're in a multiple offer situation, when you're able to help a buyer find a home in less than 30 days, when you're able to save a buyer money. Jeff, how do you save a buyer money right now? Well, you're able to negotiate money off of their home inspection, or the appraisal comes in low and you're able to negotiate the seller accept that. Any type of buyer win is going to stand out right now. Stop doing this. Hey, sold this listing in 32 hours for 113% of asking price. That doesn't stand out. Everyone's posting that, but not many are posting their buyer success stories. And I promise you, by the way, the best marketing, you should know this by now, the best marketing solves a problem. The best marketing solves an issue. Well, what's the problem? Well, the consumers are all talking. They know that it's tough to find a home for sale right now. They know that people are struggling to get their offer accepted. Well, if you're the real estate agent or you're the team or you're the company that starts posting all of your buyer success stories, guess what? That's going to stand out as a solution to a commonly known problem. People are going to screenshot it. People are going to send it to their friends. Hey, aren't you trying to buy a house right now? Didn't you tell me that you weren't getting your offers accepted? How is this guy saving his buyer's money? How is this guy getting it done in less than 13 days? They found their dream home. You might want to consider reaching out to them. All right. What about so far this year's stats? Not just the market, but yourself or your business personally. How are you doing so far this year? What is your marketing strategy? Is it a mass marketing strategy? Is it a social media marketing strategy? Chances are you wrote something in your post-COVID business plan, because we covered this. I went through probably 15, 20 different ideas that you could do for marketing post-COVID. And if you want to find that, you can probably just Google search Jeff Glover post-COVID plan. It'll come up. I did a video on it. I gave a bunch of marketing ideas in there, so you guys should have that. All right, let's move over to part 9. My ideal December, favorite part of the plan. Okay, watch this. This is where you get to write down, where if you follow part 1 through 8, if you do what you're supposed to do, if you add value to your database, you take action on your plan of action, you put together a new morning routine, this is where everything gets to fall into place. This is where you get to write out what your ideal December will be. All right. So it can be a story. I love that. It can be bullet pointed. It can be a couple sentences. I don't care what it looks like, but I want to know what your ideal December is going to look like, because watch this. If your goal was to say, do 16 transactions between now and the end of the year, Jeff, I need to close 16 more. All right. Well, you might be thinking you got 4 months to do it. Wrong, right? Well, what do you mean? 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, that's 16. By 4 months left, that's 16. Wrong. We talked about in the beginning. You actually only have 3 months to get those 16 deals under contract, so they all close by the end of the year. So actually, instead of doing 4 a month, you really need to do like 5 to 6 per month in September, in October, in November, in order to close 16 by the end of the year. So make sure you're checking your math and you're dividing everything by 3, not by 4. Once you hit your goal, let's say you wrote down your goal was to close 16 more between now and the end of the year. Once you hit your goal, you can write off in the month of December. I want you to write down a vacation you're going to take, how much time you're going to take off. You're going to take off the week between Christmas and New Year's. Great. What you're going to do for yourself. Maybe your holiday budget, maybe you're used to spending $250 per child for Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or whatever it is you celebrate. Now you're going to go $500 per child because you have a bigger budget. Maybe you have a holiday party that you throw every year and you spend around $500-$600. Maybe now you're going to throw a holiday party for $1,000 and everyone's going to get a gift, or you're going to order filet instead of New York strip or whatever, right? I want you to write down, if you hit your goals, what your ideal December will look like. And I promise, when it comes later in the year, don't worry, we're going to do a 2021 business plan. I'll have it all put together for you. I promise I'm going to remember that I said you can take some time off. And I know everyone thinks I'm just a hard driver. You can take some time off in the month of December if you hit your goals. If you hit your goals, what do you want your ideal December to look like? Now, if you fall short, you have a choice to make. Maybe you take action on 3 or 4 of your ideal December ideas and you leave a few off. If you fall short, maybe you say, you know what, I was going to take a vacation the week between Christmas and New Year's, and now I'm going to go to work because I'm a little bit behind and I want to start January strong. All right. So I want you to write off what your personal and what you're going to do for yourself, how you're going to treat yourself, personal treat, right? Or maybe you're going to buy yourself a nice watch, this holiday, right? I want you to write in what that is. And then finally, part 10, crucial final part of the plan. Part 10, very, very important. I want to know what your 2021 business planning day is. I want you to look at a calendar. This is an assignment. I want you to look at a calendar and say, okay, what is a day where I could spend the entire day on my business plan? Would it be better during the week? Would it be better on a weekend? Could you get away? Could you go to something? Whatever. Pick a day where you spend from 9 a.m. until 5. All you do is business plan. You think about what you accomplished in 2020 and what you want to accomplish in 2021. And that's all you do. You write out plans of actions. You write out strategies. You write out your social media calendar. That's something that we do every year. Most of our social media stuff, except for when I get some crazy idea and the staff goes crazy with me, most of our social media stuff you see is planned out a year in advance or at least a month in advance. Could you do that as part of your 2021 business plan? The answer is yes. So I want you to look at a calendar, preferably, by the way, in the month of October, November. You don't need to do this. You don't need to to pick a date in September. I wouldn't pick a date in September. I'm thinking probably, October, November. Pick a date where you say, I want this to be my business planning day, meaning no appointments. I do this every year, by the way. I'm only recommending things to you that I do. I recommend a weekend, by the way, a Saturday or Sunday. No appointments, no phone calls, no lead generation, no closings, no distractions, just you and your team, or you and your leadership team, or you and yourself personally, or you working with your coach to do your business plan for 2021. Identify the date. Next, I want your 2021 business plan due by no later than December the 1st, 12/1. So if your date is 11/15, cool. You got to have it done by 12/1. I don't care. It cannot be later than 12/1. And I'm going to share with you how we can help you with that. We had a change, unfortunately, this year. For those of you that have been following us for a while, we've had 2 events per year. All right. We've had one in northern Michigan in the beautiful resort town of Traverse City in July. And we've also had one we now moved it to Orlando, Florida by popular request because we had them in different parts of the Midwest. We have a January event that takes place in Orlando. Well, because of COVID, fortunately this year we were able to get our January event off and it went great. But we had a retreat planned for Traverse City this summer in July. I know many of you were planning on attending. Without even advertising it, we had several hundred people that had already bought a ticket for that. And many of you, know who you are. So we decided we were going to move that probably April, May, in the middle of COVID. We decided we were going to move that to Chicago in October, because think back, April, May, COVID and everything was still new. There's no way we're going to be able to hold an event in July. We knew that. All right. But in April, May, I think probably, based on some of the reports, and we were watching the numbers every single day. Come April, May, we had to make the decision to move it to October in Chicago. Well, of course, the numbers went down quite a bit and then they went right back up. So we had to cancel, unfortunately, our Chicago retreat. And instead, what we decided to do was come up with a plan to where we could come to you or your office, your brokerage, your team, your market center, whatever you call it. And we called it the Live Unreal Advance. So in your workbook, you have it. I'm just going to explain it for just a quick second. And then I got a few last messages for you before we finish today. So the Live Unreal Advance is a 1-day business planning session for you, your office. Now, I know what you're going to say. Well, Jeff, I'm just a one-man show. Well, Jeff, I'm just a buyer's agent. Well, good. Go share this with your broker. Go share this with your team leader. Go share this with your lead agents. We just had the #1 team in Ohio is hiring us for this. We've got signups from the #3 team out on the East Coast. I mean, we've got people that are signing up for this to do this for their office and for their teams. And so the Live Unreal Advance is a 1-day session where I'm going to be at every single one of these, and one of our coaches are going to be in attendance with you in your office, you and your brokerage, you and your team for the entire day. All right. It's going to be 1 full day in the month of October and November. We may do a few in the first couple weeks of December if you're late to sign up. Okay. By the way, there's only so many weeks to do this. So we only have a few, we only have that, 6-8 week window where people can actually do these. They start in October, by the way. We're going to do business plannings. We're going to help build a state of the company for your team or for your office, help everyone put together their vision plan for the year. We're going to have 3 preparation calls, marketing and slide decks. All that's going to be prepared. Again, this is stuff. If you're a solo agent, share this with your broker, share this with your team leader, share this with your operating partner. If you're on a team, share this with your lead agent. We're going to have some fun with some team building and some culture activities. You get an opportunity to choose 3 custom workshops, and there's going to be a plug and play mastermind at the end. If you want to see what the day is going to look like on page 2, there's your schedule. All right. So you guys can read. I'm not going to walk you through the entire schedule, but it is a full day of business planning for 2021. So when you look at part 10 in this plan and I say, choose your day, all right, you literally could make this your day. And this is your full day of business planning where we put a full plan together for you, your agents, your team, your brokerage, your office, whatever. So we have a full day together, of course. And then at the bottom of that same page, you have the opportunity to choose workshops. All right. So if your business, if your office, if your team, I have a lot of teams that hire us, a lot of lead agents hire us and say, Jeff, we really want to focus on listings next year. We really want that to be our focus. Well, you can pick 2 or 3 workshops that are completely focused on listings. And I promise you, you and your agents are going to walk out of there with some awesome information. By the way, I should probably tell you, this particular day, This is the same exact thing we do with our team every single year. So we thought, why not share this with the public, and why not allow brokerages and teams and offices have us out to have that same experience? It's a day of fun, culture, learning, growing, which, by the way, is the secret to success in a real estate company. If they're learning, growing, making money, and having fun, they'll be with you forever. Again, my name is Jeff Glover from Detroit, Michigan of Glover U. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you got a lot out of this session. We'll keep bringing the value as soon as we have it. If there's any questions about any of our coaching programs or the Live Unreal Advance, just go to gloveru.com. Everything's on our site. Make sure you join the Facebook group, the Glover U Inner Circle, and we'll see you around soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you for taking your time to join Jeff today on the Live Unreal with Glover U podcast. To get started on having an unreal business, take the real estate self-assessment. After you complete the assessment, a member of Glover U will get on a call with you to create an action plan to improve your score. Go to www.gloveru.com/self. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe. Search for Live Unreal with Glover U on iTunes, Podbean, or Spotify and subscribe today. Until next time, remember,
when you do the same thing at the same time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that leads to consistent activities, which then lead to consistent income.